Newcastle. How are you? You well? Ah, good. Yes, people in the front row, thank you for doing that. On your own accord, I appreciate that a lot. Thanks for coming, guys. This is so exciting. It's lovely to be here. Things are going well in my life, guys. It's going real well. I've started going to therapy. I don't like my therapist. He's no good. He's too young. 22. Yeah, what the fuck? They've given me the shittest one. That's what's happened. I've walked in and they're like, you can have the work experience, kid. We don't care about you at all. I'll break down why it's no good. So he's too young, right, obviously. He's also a man. Not ideal, really. He's Australian. And I pay this guy like $150. So at the end I give him $150 for essentially advice. So when you break all that down, I'm just paying a 22-year-old Australian male for advice. You guys ever come across a 22-year-old Australian male? I don't think there's anyone on this planet less qualified to give advice than a 22-year-old. Like, what's he going to tell me? Is he going to be like, dude, you know you can actually make Jaeger bombs at home, you know? That's actually all he's got in his dumb back catalogue. That's it. And he's not an old 22 either, you know. You know how you meet some young people and they act older, you know, like they've got investment properties and shit. Not my young fella. If anything, he acts younger than 22. Like, he acts younger. This is how I know he's young. He told me this. He still lives at home with his parents still. Okay, I'm sorry. My therapist lives at home with his parents. That shouldn't be legal. The government should intervene at some point. And he talks about his parents all the time, regularly, to me, his client. Regularly, he's like, dude, mum and dad are just being so annoying at the moment. We'll be in sessions and I'll be like, dude, I'm a bit sad today. And he's like, life's not that bad. I'm like, cunt, you don't pay rent. Like, what would you know about the world? I'm going to have to vouch for you on a rental application after this. No, I'm going well. I've got a girlfriend, which is exciting. Normally that gets a huge round of applause, but it's fine. My girlfriend's terrific. I love her a lot. She's a small, angry Argentinian woman. I need you guys to know that. Do you guys know what they say about Argentinian women? Okay, that was a genuine question. If anyone has any information, please come forward and help out. She's South American, right? And all the stereotypes you hear about South American people are true. Do you know what I mean? They feel all the emotion. Do you know, it hits them and they're just like, it's coming out. Like never once have I ever been like, I wonder what my girlfriend's thinking about right now. She's letting me know. And it's hard for me because I'm Australian, so I feel nothing, right? So we kind of clash. So we're enemies. Our relationship dynamic is now we're enemies. It's like a game of chess at all times. The other night we were in bed, drifting off to sleep. Under her breath, I heard her say, do not underestimate me. I don't know what that means, but I reckon I'm going to die soon, probably. Which is exciting. Relationships are hard, though. It's tricky, you know. Everyone's out there trying to find love. My mum's recently started dating, which is very, very exciting. She's on all the apps. If you see her, give her a swipe. Got to support family where you can. She's on the dating scene, and she's always talking to me about it when she's going on dates. The other night she was going on a date with a man, and she sent me a message. She's like, I'm going on a date, and I was trying to be supportive, so I wrote back, who's the lucky fella, mum? With a smiley face. And she wrote back what I think is arguably the worst text message a son could ever receive. She wrote back, I'm dating Steve, the massage therapist. Let those words sink in. Steve, not Steven, Steve, the massage therapist. That guy's new to massage, it sounds like. Steve, the massage therapist. Like, what do you do with that information as a son? Do you know what I mean? Like, how do I imagine them hanging... Like, there's no one worse. I was like, she could have been dating Rolf Harris. I would have been like, that's a bit better than Steve. Like, because I know what his big move... He's a dirty dog massage therapist. So I wrote back, I said, I don't know about this, Mum. And she wrote back, Sam, well, Steve would love to give you a massage. I was like, I don't know what type of gateway to hell you're trying to open up there, Catherine. And she wrote back, well, Steve's got magical fingers. And I was like, well, that's worse. That's way worse. Anyway, it's better than her last boyfriend, Glenn the Pussy Eater. And the one before that, Trevor the Anal King. That guy really rubbed me the wrong way. That guy... I don't know. They're like the jokiest jokes I have. I never know what audiences want, by the way. I look at you guys and I'm like, what do you fucking want from me? What do you... I never know. I think everyone wants like trick jokes, like old school jokes. Do you know what I mean? Like Like the jokes that go one way and then they get you at the end and you're like, got me. Yeah, you're like, yeah, dude, yeah.
I need your therapist's number.
Oh, fucking hell. I'm going to send you guys, like the two homebirths and you together. What, are you sad, dude?
No, man. I'm all about it.
Yeah. What does that mean? That's that's the most vague thing I've ever heard in my life. Yeah. I mean, thank you for coming as well, dude. I appreciate your energy, big time. It's like the most stoned man I've ever met in my life. Just like, yeah, dude, fucking, yeah, I just want to talk to people, I don't know, I think you want trick jokes, do you know what I mean? Like, this is an example of a joke, right, that I think you guys want, right? It goes like this, it goes, I got caught masturbating the other day. She's gone to the wrong part already. He goes, I got caught masturbating the other day. It was so embarrassing. I had to be like, Dad, get off the bus. All right, you guys are a good crowd. That was a test. And you passed it with flying colours. That's what I want to hear. I don't know. I don't do those jokes. I kind of talk about weird stuff that's going on in my life. I don't know. I've been thinking about this. This is a weird thought I've been having a lot lately. That it's funny that in 2022, people are still getting married to men. Do you know, I feel like that didn't hit with everyone, but I feel like for some people, it's crazy. Do you know what I mean? Like, there's all this body of evidence to show that men suck, you know, like, and people are just going back in. They're like, well, this will be better, for sure. I don't know, I feel like there was a Me Too movement and it was supposed to purge, like, all the bad men, and then it was supposed to start fresh. But instead of, like, men learning, I feel like they just got sneakier, and they just evolved. Do you know what I mean? Because men are dog shit. They're not me, but, like, the rest... Like, the rest are terrible people. I'll give you an example, right? I had some friends recently that got married. They didn't invite me. It was perfect, right? But we went to the pub and they were talking about their hens and their butts party. They're a hetero couple. And they were telling me about it and they both got strippers. And I was like, oh, my God, let's talk about this. How exciting is this? And they were, like, so into it. And my male friend went first. He goes, dude, it was so good. He goes, I got 2 female strippers, 2 hours, and it cost $1,500. I was like, Jesus Christ. I was like, I would have done it for way less. Like, I would have done stand-up comedy. Wouldn't have been as good, but I would have done it. And then my female friend heard that and she, like, spat her drink out and she was like, what? You paid $1,500? And I was like, what was your deal? And she goes, I got 3 male strippers for 2 hours and it cost $120. Can we get an ICAC investigation into this pay discrepancy, please? How can it be... We're talking about the glass ceiling. What about the stripper ceiling? How can it be that? And I'm not an investigative journalist. I'm not in any way. But maybe, and this is just a thought, maybe that these fellas aren't doing it for financial reward. Maybe, just a hint. You know, I think maybe, and this is just a theory, maybe they want to get their dicks out in front of women. Because they can't be doing it for the money. They can't. 3 guys splitting $120. That's below minimum wage. You earn more at McDonald's. That's not enough for an Uber home. Like, they've got to get Uber pool and then they're naked. It's going to be like... It's not enough money. They're probably investment bankers during the week. Weekend rolls around, they're like, yeah, there's petty cash, bit of spending money. So I had to find out more information. I was like, tell me everything. My male friend went first. He goes, dude, it was very professional. It was like the 2 ladies came and they had a security guard. They had a timer. As soon as it hit 2 hours, bang, they left, right? My female friend heard that, and she was like, they left? She goes, my male boys, they did a bit of pro bono work. I was like, what a surprise. She goes, they hung around for ages. I said, did they put their clothes on? She said, at no point. She said they were giving the girls massages. They started doing odd jobs around the house, she said. One of them fixed a shelf and carried a heavy box upstairs. At this point, they're just naked handymen, really. And I've been thinking about this, guys, quite a lot, right? Because I just moved into a new place in Sydney, beautiful little terrace house. It's terrific, but it's old, needs a bit of work done to it. You know, I was thinking 3 men, 2 hours, $120. I don't care if they're wearing clothes. Come on around, fellas. I'll take my clothes off as well if that helps the whole... Lawnmower's out the back, let's get into it. Let's see how much you love stripping now. I don't know. It is hard. People are getting married. I don't know. All my friends. I've got a lot of friends. I learned this about myself during COVID, that I hate all my friends. Bit of time away. You know, I was like, yeah, I'm doing a little stock take. I don't know if you guys are at that point with your friends, but do you ever look around at your friendship group and you're like, how did this happen? Do you know, I had dreams. I wanted more. How did I get stuck with you guys? Like, I have no recollection of ever becoming friends with these, but they're just there in my life. One of my best friends in the entire world came and watched me do comedy recently. A very nice thing to do. Bought his new girlfriend. Another very nice thing to do. Just before the show, like, I'm backstage getting ready. He's in an Uber. He like calls me. I answer, and he's pocket dialed me. And I overhear him talking to his new girlfriend. And his new girlfriend says, "Oh my God, I'm so excited to see Sam do comedy. Is he good?" And my friend said, and I quote, "It's not about that." It's not about that. I don't think a sentence has ever summed up friendship more than it's not about... It's about having a good time? Absolutely not. It's about some weird loyalty. I had another friend get married recently. He asked me to be his best man. Oh my God, what an honour. That's what everyone told me. They're like, well, that's the biggest honour in the world. No greater honour than being a best man or a maid of honour. Doesn't get any higher than that. I think they're getting the word honour confused with severe financial burden. Because I paid for half that fucking wedding. I kid you not. It was money out of my pocket at every opportunity. I had to organise a bucks party for 17 of the worst humans you'll ever meet. South coast of New South Wales scum. And they're just my friends now. I didn't sign up for it. I'm still in a group chat with them. I had to ring them all up individually to see if they could come to the bucks party. This is a true conversation I had with one of them. I had to ring him up and say, "Hey mate, what date do you go to prison? Do you think you'll make the bucks party?" And he goes, "Oh dude, I actually go to prison 2 weeks after the bucks party." And I was like, "Oh, goody." And he said, and I quote, "I guess one last hurrah for me." So that's just what you want to hear when you're putting your credit card details down on an Airbnb in Mollymook. One last hurrah for the criminal. I don't think I'm getting my bond back. It was weird, COVID, weird times, no comedy. That's what I learned about COVID times, that comedy is not essential work. I had no idea. I thought this was the most important thing. And then as soon as it hit, it's like, no more comedy. I'm like, oh, okay, I guess it's not that important. Do you know what I mean? Because you guys are like the most important part. I didn't realise that. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you guys weren't here, this would be pretty fucking weird. Like, imagine if you all left and then one of you walked up those weird stairs and you come in, it's empty, and I'm here and I'm like, has anyone been on the train recently? Like, send that guy to hospital. He's not doing well. So we come out of lockdown, I've got to take any show I can get, right? I've just been, locked up. I've got to take any show. I get offered a gig at a Holden car dealership. Sorry, Netflix, something better's popped up. Now, I'm a professional comedian. I've got to take the show, right? So I go and do it. And I thought, and maybe this was crazy, right? I thought that maybe they would have like a room above the Holden car dealership or like to the side, but it was in there. It was all the way, it was in there. Do you know what I was performing between two cars. There was a Holden there, and it looked like I was performing in traffic, basically. It looked like you pulled up at the lights and a weird juggler had walked out. It was like... So I start doing my set. It's going terribly. No one's laughing. All my jokes are about Ford. It's just bombing completely. And it's going so badly. I finish my set. I walk off stage. I'm like, what? There was no stage. I just walked to the side of the car. And I finished. I walked off. And this old Eastern European woman makes a beeline for me. And she's got like a big smile on her face. She comes up to me and she goes, "Oh my God, Sam." I'm like, "Hi." And she goes, "Oh my God, you were so cute up there when you were trying to be funny. And no one was laughing." I was like, well, this has been lovely to meet you. And then she points out the window. It's a car dealership, so there's just clear windows. She points out the windows and she goes, "Do you see that building over there?" And I was like, yeah. She goes, "Oh, that's my business. I own that building. That's my building there." And I was like, well, this has been a pretty mean conversation. Like, there's not a lot in it for me at the moment. You've walked up and you're like, "Hey, you weren't funny. Also, I own that big fuck-off property over there. I don't know what you want me to take away from this." But then she goes, "No, silly." She goes, "That's my business. I own it. That's mine." And then she reaches into her pocket and she pulls out her business card and she hands it to me. And the business card is for an erotic massage parlour. Then on that business card, she writes 1 hour complimentary. And she hands it to me and she says, "Sam, I'm going to give you a free 1 hour session because you look like you need cheering up. A very weird point for you all to applaud it right there. Now, we've all been unfunny before. Every one of you in this room has been unfunny. We all know what that feels like, to tell a joke and it bombs. Maybe you were telling a story at a dinner party and it didn't go well. But I guarantee none of you in this comedy club right now have ever been that unfunny that you've caused a reaction from someone to be like, oh, for pity's sake, someone jerk that cunt off. That's a unique feeling to me. I can't talk to anyone about that. No one can relate. I didn't even know it was an option, to be honest. Because you hear about people being funny and people are like, I'm so attracted to funniness. I didn't know you could be that unfunny that someone's like, we need to help back it. He's backed up. We need to give it a go. It might help. I don't know. It's good. Lockdown was weird. I learned weird things about myself as well that I didn't know, that I didn't even think about. Do you know what I mean? In the middle of lockdown, I'm a big movie fan, right? And in the middle of lockdown, I wanted to watch the movie 1917. I'm not sure if anyone's seen that movie in here. If you haven't, go watch it. Academy Award-winning movie. It's about World War I. It's so good. Germany versus Britain. In lockdown, I really wanted to watch this movie, right? But obviously, you couldn't go to the movies. This movie wasn't on any streaming services. This is what I learned about myself in lockdown, right? I don't know how to illegally download movies anymore. Do you remember when we all knew how to do that? We did. I looked up LimeWire. It's not there anymore. It's gone. The pirates, they got the Pirate Bay. It's all done. So I didn't know what to do. I really wanted to watch this movie. So this is how smart I am. I just Googled it one day. I just wrote 1917, Academy Award-winning World War I movie, watch free. I just hit that, send, put that out there for the world. I clicked the first result that came up and it took me to Reddit. And this guy on Reddit's like, hey, I've uploaded the entirety of the Academy Award-winning World War I movie, 1917. Click this link. And I was like, what could go wrong here? So I clicked the link. Immediately it took me to Pornhub. Like, so quick. The quickest I've ever seen a page load. It's just up. And so now I'm just looking like Pornhub's just up on my computer. And I was like, well, I'm here now. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've made the journey. If you're in the neighbourhood, you pop in. It's a similar kind of vibe. It'd be a waste of downloads. So I clicked play on the video on Pornhub and it started playing. And at that moment, I realised that this guy on Reddit, he was just a good guy. He had my back because and I didn't know you could do this, but he had just actually uploaded the entirety of the Academy Award-winning World War I drama 1917 onto the popular pornography platform Pornhub. Because apparently you can do that if you want to. I didn't know. You can put whatever you want on porn websites. They don't check. I thought they would check. I thought there'd be a fact checker at Pornhub watching it all come in, being like, that's not horny enough for us. Get the hell out of here. I'm going to put videos of my stand-up. This is going on Pornhub right now. I'm going to be the most famous comedian alive. So that's how I watch the Academy Award-winning World War I movie on Pornhub. Would recommend if you get the opportunity. Terrific cinematic experience. But because it was Pornhub, like I couldn't just be like, look at this to my girlfriend. So I tried to cast it. It was my turn for movie night, right? So I tried to cast it to our TV screen so we could watch it on the TV. So I tried to cast it, but because it was Pornhub, for some reason it wouldn't go like full dimensions of the screen. Do you know, like it wouldn't take the full TV screen. So what we got was the normal porn window, like that stayed, but then all the thumbnails still stayed around that. So we're watching the Academy Award-winning World War I drama, and then just all around people just getting fucked, like just constant, and they're GIFs as well. They're moving like back and forth, like so it's all happening on the screen. It's like war, death, destruction, deep throat, just all on the one screen. I've never been that stimulated in my life. And now I've watched a movie like that, I can't go back to the old way. Are you kidding me? I'm going to watch a normal movie with no little treat on the side? So after I finished watching, I was like, this is crazy. I need to find out more information. I can't be the only one who had this experience. So I went into the comments section underneath the video. And I'm not sure if you guys, you seem like lovely people, I'm not sure if you've ever spent any time in the comments section under a porn video, but it's not like a contest of ideas down there. It's normally just one guy being like, come, send. Like, that's all he's got. Or maybe like big cum if he's feeling creative that morning. But instead, all the comments on this video were unbelievable. They were just like, incredible cinematography. The use of one camera is absolutely astounding. Big cum. Someone still did cum. But that's okay. There's a time and a place. I respect it. But the worst part about this, and I'm still living it now, that's why this is in real time, I bring it up now, it's because now my porn algorithm is so messed up. Do you know what I mean? My algorithm, like what gets fed to me based on the previous... Like this video's fucked it up. Like, do you know what I mean? Because before what I got was normal stuff that just came up. Do you know what I mean? It was the normal stuff that we all watch, the regular stuff like stepbrother, stepdaughter, like the normal stuff that we all watch. You know, like the normal stuff, guys, that we all watch regularly. But now it's a mess. Now every time I log on, it's just like German gets fucked by British. Like every time. That was a long way to go for a World War I joke. But we got there. So earlier this year I got an email, right, which is not... That's not weird. I'm an email... I get a lot of emails. I get probably 20 emails a day. Is that good? Can anyone beat that? Woo! How many do you get?
About 200.
200? What do you do to get 200 emails?
A lot of it is rubbish.
Oh, okay. Well, that doesn't count. Well, what do you do?
50 are good.
50 are good. Like what? Like gossip? Good? Like
Research.
research? Oh, what do you do? What do you do for a job? Why do you need research?
Oh, yeah, well. Medical research.
Oh, okay. Boring. I'm the king of improvised comedy right there. Boring. Oh, that's very cool. So 200. Can anyone beat that? 220. 220. Okay, this is a weird auction now. This is exciting. Can I get 230? 230 once, twice. Wait, 220. What do you do to get 220? You're a bank manager. Oh my God, you are. So what are they all like? People that want money? Is that what it is? It's pardon? It's a mix. And does that stress you out? 220?
I just delete them all.
You delete them all. All right, that's why we love the banks. Am I right? They're good, honest people, right there. Just delete them all. Who fucking cares about poor people? That's awesome. So I got an email, and it was a particular email of note. I'd never seen this before. I got an email from my school, my high school, asking me to come and speak to the kids. And I'd never had... Has anyone ever had to do this? Go back and speak to their school? Okay, some underachievers in here tonight. Not bad at all. But I didn't know what they wanted me to speak about, because when I was at school, like the people that would come and speak to us were the weirdest people of all time. I don't know if you guys had the same people, but when I was at school, there was always like a dude that would come and do like a yo-yo exhibition. Do you know, he'd have a yo-yo and he'd be like, oh, you like that, kid? I don't know why it was sexual, but he'd be like, oh, plastic and string, you know, oh. Or there'd be like a motivational speaker that would come and like tell you a story of weirdness. Or this is the weirdest one I ever had at my school, when there was a guy that came, and this was like a tale of woe, like what not to do, learn from my mistakes. This guy came to our school and he told us this story. We're in like year 4, so we're like 10. And he comes and he goes, kids, when I was 19, I got really drunk and I went onto an overpass and I picked up a bunch of rocks. And already at this point we were like, I don't think you should be telling us this story. Picking up rocks, it can only go one way. And he goes, and I started throwing the rocks at cars, and he goes, I hit a car and I killed the woman in the car. And we were 10. We looked at our teachers and we're like, did you think we were going to do this? We had to go home to our parents that night and be like, hey, they brought a murderer to school today. Did that happen when you were at school? So I think about this story all the time, because that's like a pivotal thing to happen to you in your life. It's like they brought the rock murderer guy. So I tell people all the time, I tell my friends, and I was talking to my friend, and he went to a very exclusive private boys' school in Melbourne, and I was telling him this story about the rock murderer guy doing like a talk at my school, and he goes, dude, he goes, I've got the most similar story. And I'm like, oh my God, did you have the rock murderer guy as well? And he goes, no. He goes, when I was at school, President Bill Clinton came and spoke to us. And I was like, I don't think those stories are similar at all. In fact, I would argue you couldn't have 2 more different stories Like, I know there's a huge gap between shitty public schools like I went to in Australia and an elite private boys' school, but I didn't know that gap was rock-throwing murderer over here, then international pants man Bill Clinton. Like, how can they be in the same public speaking circuit? Like, what do they have in common? Like, I guess they've both killed people, but, like, besides that... The only thing I can think of is, like, maybe it was a demographic-based booking. Like, the teachers looked at the kids that went to each school and were like, we need to book appropriately for them. Do you know what I mean? And they probably looked at these private school boys that are going to go on to ruin the world. They're going to commit crypto fraud or whatever their fucking future holds. And they looked at them and like, we need to get Bill Clinton to come in and talk to them. Which means that my teachers looked at us and they were like, I reckon they're going to throw rocks. Yeah, get the rock guy, bring him in. And it worked. I haven't thrown a rock since. So it actually was a really good booking. But I don't know what I'm going to speak to these kids about. That's the thing. Like, I haven't done it yet and I don't know what to talk about. Because, like, I don't know anything about life. I don't really know anything about love. Like, I grew up in, like, a white trash Australian family. Like, we were poor, white trash. Like, we were poor. My parents used to tell me we were poor, like, all the time, which I always thought was weird. Like, as an 8-year-old, they'd be like, Sam, we're very poor. And I always remember thinking, you're poor, don't bring me into it. You know, like, do you know what I mean? I'm 8. No one's looking at me to help the family. Don't blame me for your bad life choices. But it was like a classic Australian family. Like, we didn't talk about our feelings. We loved each other, but we didn't talk. My dad's only ever told me he loves me once. And still to this day, it's one of the worst things to ever happen to me. Ever in my life. I'll tell you, this is what happened. I was 14. My dad was driving me to school, right? I'm 14. We get to school. I get out of the car, right? My dad gets out of the car. Already that was weird. I was like, get back in the fucking car. This is not your area, brother. Get back in the car. So he gets out of the car. By some coincidence, right, there's just like 25 of my best friends in the entire world just at the school gate. They see me. They're like, how good's this? Our good friend Sam's here. We'll just wait for him. What a happy coincidence to start a Tuesday morning. So I'm out of the car. Dad gets out of the car. He starts walking around the car towards me. 25 of my best friends in the entire world just standing there watching this. He walks straight up to me. He kisses me on the lips. He just goes, mwah. And then so loudly, he goes, I love you so much, my son. And then I turned to the 25 best friends I had in the world at that moment. And I was like, this is gonna be massive. And it was massive. It was beyond huge. For the next 4 years of high school, everyone was like, you want to fuck your dad, don't you? Everyone, you want to fuck your dad. Some kid was already like, you're already fucking your dad. And I'm like, no, there wasn't. He started telling people there was tongue in the kiss. There wasn't tongue. It was a peck. I had to start demonstrating how I kiss my dad. I'm like, that's how we do it. It's just bang, in and out, no tongue. And I get it right from my dad's dumb Neanderthal Australian masculine brain. He probably wanted to. He was like, I want to tell my son I love him, but he didn't know how. And the only reference point he had were probably people that he'd been in romantic relationships with and loved. So in his head, he was like, I'm just going to go pash my son. Because as soon as he did it, you could tell he was like, oh, I fucked up here. The colour drained from his face. He would have been driving home being like, we'll never talk about that ever again. And it ruined my high school, ruined it. Everyone's like, you want to fuck your dad? I remember one kid was always like, you're gay with your dad, which I always thought was like a weird thing for him. Like, besides the obvious homophobia, it's like, what a weird takeaway from the story to have. Do you know what I mean? Like, to be like, you're gay. It's like, who cares if I'm gay if I'm fucking my dad? Do you know what I mean? That's not the headline of the story. That's it. No one's going to be like, oh, is he gay? Is there anything else? No, it's just he's gay. That's all there is. Like, if the Sydney Morning Herald were going to run an article about it, it's not going to be like, local boy gay. It's going to be like, there's a son getting fucked by his dad at the moment. We need to talk about that. So that's my childhood. And now I'm like an adult. Do you know what I mean? I'm an Australian man, white, straight, all the good ones. And tick, tick, tick. And now I have to just live in this body and deal with this stuff, which means I've got a lot of like straight male friends, which is fun, you know, us interacting. It's like they should study us for like research purposes, I think. I don't know if you guys know this, but straight men need an activity in order to hang out. I don't know if you guys, there has to be an activity. It just can't like just happen. It can't be like, I just want to be around you. There has to be, doesn't matter what the activity is. You know, it could be just, you know, going to the movies, paintball, punching metal with your fist, doesn't matter what it is. There just has to be an activity that brings you together. And I think it's gendered. I know gender's a construct, right? But I think it's completely gendered because my girlfriend, she doesn't need a reason to hang out with her friends. She just goes and sees them. It's beautiful. She'll be like, I'm just popping in to see Ellie. She pops in. She doesn't pop in. Unbelievable. She's like, I'm just popping in to see it. I'm like, what do you mean you're popping in? She goes, I'm popping in. I'm like, have you told her that you're coming? She goes, no, I don't need to because I'm popping in. I'm just doing a pop-in. I'm just popping in. I'm just popping in. I'm just popping. She starts ascending to a higher place at this point. She's like, I'm popping in. She goes, I'm just popping in for a chat. If I had a male friend of mine turn up at my house, unannounced, popping in for a chat, I'd be like, well, you've killed someone. That's what's happened here. You've murdered someone and you need an alibi. Otherwise, there's no reason for you to be... Actually, get the fuck out of my house. I don't want you, I'm going to murder you, then really I'll need an alibi. But she'll do it, she just pops in and it's beautiful. She goes, I'm just popping in, and then she goes over to her friend Ellie's house. They have a quick 45-minute chat about their other friend Jessica's fuck lazy eye, and it's perfect. But I have to buy tickets to an event, organise an itinerary. And then the next stop for me, where I'm heading next, is not exciting at all. I'm going to become an old Australian male, which... That's a hell of a ride to be on. Old Australia. You ever see old Australian men just walking around angry at the world for no reason? Something happened in the 80s they haven't forgot about. Just bright red face, feeling like, fucking good. And you're like, whoa, whoa, calm down, mate, calm down. It's all right. Old Australian men, I love them a lot because I think they're the funniest of any generation in Australia. I think they're so funny. They've also got a big racket going on that I don't know if you guys know about, right? They've got a huge racket. I'm convinced old Australian men have had like a meeting, a meet-up group in secret with like a PR agency, and they've all sat down and they've decided on a message to put out into the world, right? And that message is that they don't know how to use technology. I'm convinced. Old Australian men, they're all lying to us. They've all put this message out into the world and they're so good at it. So good at it. They're always like, oh, geez, could you show me how to Google my name or whatever? You're like, all right, yeah. Not bad at all, right? There was like, well, regularly I get messages from my dad and he's like, could you put YouTube on a USB for me? And I'm like, oh. I can't even begin to describe how wrong that sentence is, old man. It's all a lie, right? Because if you pop one of these guys in front of a touchscreen TAB betting computer, things change pretty quickly. All of a sudden they pull out an IT degree you didn't know they had. They're doing low-level coding because they want to put a bet on. Those computers are so hard to use. I don't gamble, but I was at the pub once and I was like, I want to put a bet on. I go up to this computer, it's all touchscreen, I don't know what I'm doing. There's a line behind me and there's this old man, right? And he's got 2 beers. He's furious at me. Furious. He's like, hurry up, Sonny. And I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm trying to do it, I can't do it. He goes, do you want some help? And I was like, are you giving me IT support? And I was like, all right, have a go. And he waddles up, he's carrying 2 beers. He doesn't put the beers down. He leans in with his elbow and just goes, doot, doot, doot. Doot, 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 doot. Bang, bet on. Most impressive thing I've ever seen in my life. Can't use the QR code to check in though, can he? That's beyond him. He's there with a Nokia 3315 trying to get the 70 people behind him. It's unbelievable. It's all an act. It's a complete act, right? They can do it because they want to put a bet on, but anything else is too hard. Do you know what I mean? They send you a selfie at Christmas time. It's just all their fucking chin every time. But if the force at Cessnock was about to jump, they would build a computer from scratch. So at the end of last year, I went on a trip, right? It was very exciting. Me and a bunch of mates. Very exciting. We went to Noosa, Queensland. Beautiful spot, and it was very exciting. We hadn't seen each other for ages, and we hung out, and it was weird. It was a weird trip. A bunch of stuff happened to me. 2 things mainly happened to me that was weird. I woke up one morning, and we had nothing to do, right? We were straight men. We had nothing. We needed activities. We were just sitting in a house, not talking to each other. We were looking for stuff to do, and one of my friends said this. He goes, I've got a voucher for a hot air balloon ride. Would you like to go hot air ballooning with me? And I was like, do you mean the most romantic activity? No, I would love to go hot air ballooning. And I don't know if you've been hot air ballooning, but they say it is romantic, and you're like, it's the most beautiful experience you could have in your life. It's fucking not. It's the worst form of air travel. You don't get frequent flyer points. It goes so slow. And then halfway through, a weird carnie's there who just blows fire into like a sheet that's holding the whole thing up. So me and this guy, we get there and we go hot air ballooning, right? We get in the hot air balloon. It's very exciting. We're excited to do the whole thing. And we get up in the air, right? And now I couldn't just enjoy the time, right? Because something was on my mind. The day before, something weird had happened to me, right? Something very weird that had rocked me to my core. I woke up in the morning, and this is about to get very gross, and I'm so sorry. But I looked down at my penis, and it was the reddest colour I've ever seen in my... Like, there's no real red I can... Maybe this red, or like Barnaby Joyce's head. Like, it was a unique red... And I was like, I'm going to die here. That's what's going to happen. I'm going to die. And I didn't know what to do. So I started talking to my friends for the first time I opened up, and they were like, you just got to go to the doctor. I just go to the doctor. Now, I don't have a GP either. Like, a lot of people I know, they have GPs, and they love to brag about how good their GP is. They're like, oh, he's Dr. Morrison. He's been in the family for 30 years. My grandmother went to him. My mother went to... If I have to write who my GP is on a form, I have to write closest bulk billing medical centre, full rebate. That's it. So I did that. So I just Googled. I was like, in Noosa, I'm like, closest doctor, let's go. I found it. I got on the bus. I went to see the doctor. And I get there. I tell him the problem. And I'm like, this is it. My penis is red, whatever. And he goes, drop your pants. And I was like, okay, I can do that. Not a problem. And I pull my pants down. And he just yawns, like, immediately. Just go, no. Now, I didn't want a ticker tape parade. But, like, I don't want someone just to nod off. And they'd be like, this is the most boring thing I've ever seen. I'm like, some people actually like it, dude. So he's down there, and then he started doing a pain threshold test. I'm not sure if you've ever had one of these, right? They just touch spots, and on a scale of like 1 to 10, how much does it hurt, right? So he's touching there. He's like, what's that? I'm like, oh, nothing. Or 1. He's like, what about there? And I'm like, oh, 2 maybe. He's like, what about there? And I'm like, nothing. And he goes, do you have a good relationship with your dad? And I was like, 10, 10. Big 10 right there, big 10. And then I got off the bus, weirdly. I was still on the bus the entire... See, I can do those jokes. It just takes a bit of a run-up sometimes. But we're there. So my pants are down, he's touching. And this is the bit where it started going off the rails, right? Because he's standing right there, he's looking, and then he just drops to his knees. Just like... So now he's just like dick height, basically. Like... Just right there, head there, my dick... If anyone walked in at this moment, they'd be like, sorry, I didn't realise you guys were filming. This seems like a place I shouldn't be looking, right? So he's down there and he's so close. Like, he's looking like he's never seen a penis before in his life. And he gets 2 fingers like this, right? This is so gross, I'm so sorry, but he gets 2 fingers like he's about to just, like, dip it into a jar of peanut butter and do a swirl. And he gets 2 fingers... This is kind of hard to explain. Right, so he gets 2 fingers... So he gets... 2 fingers, and he just kind of pushes the penis up like that. And then just starts staring at it, just like that. And then he starts going under. Like, I'm looking down, his head's going underneath the penis. Like, he's there at this point. It looks like I'm crowning. Like, he's underneath me. Just like it's a block tap, and he's trying to see what's under it. After about 10 seconds, it feels like a lifetime, he brings his head back around. And this is the bit that's really hard to explain, right? Because he didn't just, like, put it back. Do you know what I mean? Like, he didn't put it back. He didn't go. He just went. And, like, my mother raised me right. If you move something, you put it back where you found it. So he just drops it like that, and then he stands straight up. So now we're at eye level, straight away. And that was somehow more intimate than anything that had happened. I was like, are you my dad? Should we kiss? Is that what's going on? So then he kind of walks to the side of the room, and I'm like, okay, cool, all right, whatever. And he takes his glove off, and he looks back at me, and he goes, Sam, you've got nothing to worry about. I'm like, oh, thank God. He goes, you've just got heat rash. He goes, that's it, just a bit of heat rash. You've been in the Queensland sun, you've probably been wearing jeans. That's all it is. And I was like, oh, thank God. And then with a smile, a big smile comes on his face. He goes, you know what? As soon as I saw your penis, I knew it was heat rash. I was like, well, why did we just film an amateur porn? If you were... Straight away, I had to call my therapist and be like, are your parents home? We need to talk. ASAP, this is a big one. This is going to take up a lot of time right now. So I'm in the hot air balloon the day after this. That's all I can think about. I'm like, I've got to tell someone about this. That shouldn't have happened. And we're up there, and I'm trying to enjoy it, but I can't. I'm trying to stay present, but I can't, right? And the pilot's there with us, right? By the way, I think it's cute that he calls himself a pilot. You know, he's got an advanced TAFE degree in picnicking, really. Like, I get it. We've all changed our LinkedIn profile before, but that's one step too far. But he's up there and he starts asking me questions, all these questions, and I'm like, that's fun. And I asked him a question. I was like, I should get involved in this conversation with the pilot. So I said, how did you get into hot air balloons? I thought that was a pretty good question. That's pretty good when you're up there in that altitude. I came up with that on the spot. And he goes, as a kid, I always loved balloons. And I was like, there should be more to that story. I think you're in charge of the fire. There definitely needs to be more to that story. But we're going along, we're not chatting for a while. I'm looking at the view, it's beautiful. My mind's finally, off it all. And then he says this to me. He says, Sam, do you want to see another hot air balloon? And I was like, mate, I'm in one. I'm seeing one pretty close, right? Like, this is as good as it gets, really. And he goes, do you want to see another one? And I didn't know what he meant. I thought he meant he was just going to fly me down the sky road to his mates that were in another hot air balloon, and then from their hot air balloon we'll just wave at them and they'll wave back at us. We'll wave like we're on a boat. You know when you're on a boat and another boat goes past and for some reason you just start going... Why is that, as a side note? But why do we wave at people? Is that maritime law? Do we have to... Because I've never waved at anyone else on public transport. But if you pop me on a boat and another boat starts going past, my arm starts going without my control. I'm like, what are you doing? I turn into an 8-year-old who's had some MDMA dropped in his red cordial. I'm just like, I'm on a boat! You're on a boat! We both got the ferry today, what are the odds of that? Wave back! So I was like, all right, dude, let's do it. Let's go see this other hot air balloon, right? And this is all exactly what happened. This is 100% true, right? He put his hand in his pocket and he pulled out his phone. And I was like, you better be getting Google Maps up, brother. And this is 100% true. He pulls up a video of him flying another hot air balloon. And he goes, have a look at that. So just to recap the story so far, I'm in a hot air balloon watching a video of him flying another hot air balloon. It was like a babushka doll of hot air balloons. And if you looked into that video close enough, you would have seen another guy in another hot air balloon watching another video of a hot air balloon, then in that video, another video of a hot air balloon, then in that video, another, and finally a video of a guy being like, I'm jumping. This has to end right now. Guys, thank you so much for coming out. I really appreciate it. You guys are